So if you haven't been here before, this is the car that I call the Junkyard GTS. Hard to believe, but it was actually worse when we got it. With it stripped out, I cleaned everything. The second episode, I assembled a 308 here in the shed, and the last episode you would have seen on it, painted the engine bay, put it in, but we've got a lot to get through in this one. This episode is just all about make a list and just start crossing things off. I want this to drive under its own power. Just drive. I didn't say stop. We won't go that far, but I want it to drive under its own power at the end of this episode. So we'll get through the parts that we've got. Getting tired of towing it in and out of the shed. So the pile of parts we've got to get through in this episode obviously is an exhaust, springs, shocks, master cylinder, booster, and the all important one that I had to wait on was the drive shaft. So we should have enough there to get this thing out of the shed under its own power. Probably the first place I'm going to start is exhaust. We've got headers on it, but when I broke the engine in, or broke the camshaft in, I run it with just some slip-on big mufflers. But that full exhaust, it's nothing elaborate, it's just a 2-inch factory system. I didn't want to go too big and loud. I wanted to put just a factory style diameter, just press bent system on it, kind of stockish. I haven't gone too crazy with authenticity on this car. We did go back to the factory 308 and turbo 400, but I did just want to stick to a factory type of diameter exhaust out the back rather than a big aftermarket exhaust. But I think that's where we'll start. Get it on the hoist, get the exhaust on it, it'll all start coming back to me, the other things that we need to get done. It'll just be a matter of, as I sort of remember where I was up to with bits and pieces, I'll just keep adding it to the list and stop talking. Just stop talking. Let's get into it. I know one thing I've got to do is add some colour on that far door. Already a few things are coming back to me. Everyone said, put some colour on that door, because if you remember last episode, we patinaed the far side with these two doors. But I actually didn't mind the bashed up, you know, roadkill style look, but I'm going to meet us halfway. We will patina that door and paint the engine bay. I did the black when the motor went in, but I ran out of time to do the blue, and I actually want to do that and under the bonnet as well. So that's another thing we'll add to the list. It's getting longer. Throttle bracket, that's another thing to add to the list. So I sort of had a month away from this car while I was waiting on parts, and I've sort of lost track of where I was up to, but already coming back to me. Paint the door, the bay, throttle bracket, shocks, springs, exhaust, drive shaft is sitting in the corner. Just for once, I've got a heap of parts, so I shouldn't have too much trouble getting it all on there, but there's always going to be that one thing where you go, oh, I forgot that. And even now I think calipers are the only thing I'm waiting on. It's the only thing I didn't see in that pile. Anyway, we'll get it to move. I didn't say we need to stop, we just got to get it to move. Righto, let's get it up in the air. And I did say there's a set of springs in that pile and shocks. Believe it or not, I've actually already put a set of springs in this, but I don't like how it sits. I want it lower. They're aftermarket brand new springs, but I went another 20mm lower just to get that to sit a bit nicer, and then I'll worry about the front. I haven't had any of the front apart yet, so we're still yet to get into the front, but we'll see. We'll get everything back on it and then worry about the stance of the car later. Righto, let's start this exhaust. It's nothing extreme, it's just a relatively well priced kit. Hopefully it's got everything we need. I don't actually want to fit the tailpipes at this point, but they're a requirement for Rego. I kind of like to just dump it straight out of the ends of the exhaust or out of the mufflers, but we'll see. Back in the day, that was the first thing you did when you bought an old stock V8 or something like that. You just hacked those exhausts off at the mufflers and turned them down in front of the diff. To give you an idea what it would sound like, when I broke in this camshaft, I used a set of slip-on mufflers with turn downs. It sounds fantastic, but if it's a pretty good kit and it all goes to well going together, can't even talk, I'm that excited. I'm just going to chuck it all on and be done with it. This is not about a look or a sound, this is about, I want this thing driving. One thing that surprised me about this motor when we broke it in is that camshaft. Its specs show it's a fairly mild-ish camshaft, but at idle, and I know I've already played it, but I'll put another snippet here. I reckon I will play that 10 times this episode just to keep myself inspired, if nothing else. So that's the kit laid out. I already can't remember if I mentioned it wasn't that expensive. I think it was like 800 bucks. And if it fits together well, it clears everything, I actually think it's money pretty well spent. If it's absolute garbage, then maybe it's not. Alright, so I'm already having one epiphany. There's no clamps with it. None. Not unless there's another box. Nope. No clamps, but I definitely, I definitely don't want to weld those primary tubes to the headers. I might have to. No, you wouldn't want to, because what if you ever got to take them out? What diameter have we got? Okay, so already it's going to be a longer job than I thought. I'm going to have to flange that. And I don't know which one it is. It could go both ways. It could fit both ways. No, it couldn't. Okay, so those primary pipes are identical. I'm gonna have to flange there to the back of the header. Ooh. Well, like everything else is right, and I'll have to do something with that. Yes, do something with that. But that means it's really more about, oh geez, straighten that up. I think I've got those hangers though. I bought them with a previous kit, and there's 2 new rubbers, you beauty, and a bracket, but I don't need that. Call me stupid, but how do I get those rubbers in there? Squeeze them. Yeah, I'd just say you lube them up and you force them in. There you go. Straighten that guy up and I'll force new rubbers in. So straight away I've got to duck in and get clamps. It's a Saturday, so I've got to get in town before everything shuts and get me some clamps. Today is just going to fly by, isn't it? Don't get negative. No, today is going to be exhaust, mint, and just get a list together, and just so tomorrow's just rip in start to finish. Get a bolt for there, a nut for there, that's a good thing, that's still missing. Maybe remove the sway bar brackets. The more I look. Righto, stop talking, let's do it. So I found nuts for there, so we're right there, but I've got to go and get flanges for here. I've only got really big ones, probably for when we did the big block HQ exhaust or the XY. So I'll need flange, I'll weld that one, clamps. I need 2 clamps, maybe more clamps just to clamp that to start with. 4 clamps, 2 flanges. So here's what I've got. I'm not going to go to town, it's lunchtime on a weekend, but I found 2 different size clamps. That's a 60, so that'll do. I can do one side at a time. We'll use that guy and that guy, and maybe clean up those rubbers for the back, for the tailpipes right at the back. So I should be able to at least get started, and then I'll worry about some more clamps, yeah, once we've got it all in place. So there's already a nut there where the old exhaust was, so I'm actually just going to put that bracket, it's just some crap I found, just under there, just to hold that up there, if I can. If I can, no, hang on, flatten it out more, Mike. Now we'll see how we go. I just want to hold it, I just don't have enough hands. Like so. Might even run a zip tie around it so it doesn't slide. Well, that's the exhaust finished. No, I'm kidding. But I'll hold that and I'll get this muffler on that box. So in essence it should look something like that. I've just got that clamped into that rubber and we should be able to start heading forward from there. And then we can start coming forward. Oh, are you serious? That's got to go into that muffler that far. I'm dead set 4 inches too short. I think I'm forming an opinion on this kit. No clamps. Then again, it's probably hard to accommodate all different brands of headers. Maybe that header's shorter, not this too short. Maybe that's too short. Anyway, it's too short. That little piece of pipe will come in handy. Maybe I can just extend it with that, weld that on there. Yeah, so if I halve that, stick that in that flare, weld that. And then flange that. Simple as that. I'm not getting very far, am I? I'm not doing well at all. If I put a flange over that, I can weld it around the inside, like sit the flange just on the outside of that and weld the end of the pipe to the flange. But if I stick that pipe like that, what's the chance of me perfectly welding up here right around so there's no exhaust leak? I'd say it's pretty slim on this one because I'm so close to the pan. Maybe slow down on that one, maybe just be happy with what you've got there. I'll cut a bit of pipe, I'll slip it in there, push it into there in that sleeve and just slip it in there and be done with it for the minute. Then move on to the next one. Lots and lots of thinking. I'm not used to doing that. Out there. I reckon it's good. I think actually before I move that, see, more thinking. Bloody hell, this episode's going to be amazing. Before I move any of that, put that back rubber on. So I just weld a little bracket there where I take my holder away and then just cut a new little piece of rubber like that, a bolt to that guy, bolt to the frame, and that'll be suspended there. And then all the way through. Alright, let's start on that second pipe. So my second pipe, if I lift him into place, actually fits pretty good. Nice clearance. I've just got me sketchy bracket again holding it. Cool. Let's get it out and weld it up. So all I've got to do now is go around and seam weld that joint, and I've put my little extension for my primary in as well, so that one as well, and then just the same on that fella, and just do those brackets and we're done. We'll move on. So I'll press pause on the exhaust just until Monday and I can get those flanges, and I was going to chuck the springs and shocks in, but what that'll actually do is when I put that shock in, it'll pull that gap close and I might not be able to get that tailpipe in. So I'll just drop it down and we might look at maybe a throttle bracket while I've got the welder out. We'll get him down and get some, oh, and an air cleaner. I want to put the air cleaner on, so throttle bracket, air cleaner. I'm sick of taping a rag over the carburetor. So I'm not really worried about authenticity in the factory bracket because that's an Edelbrock manifold. So I'm just going to make something out of this. That's an old shifter bracket, and that end, I reckon, if I slot it, will just work nicely in with that. And this guy, my return spring is going to go on the bottom there. I reckon I'm going to sit it just like that. So it'll sit up like that. And then I'm going to cut this one, probably through there somewhere. So it'll look something like that. Throttle return spring, elong, I'll just chop out, slot the top of it is what I mean, and then that rubber should slide straight down into there, in theory. We'll see how we go. So there's my little bracket, and it's not hot. I cooled it down. I'm not that stupid today. Every other day I'm as stupid as a wheel, but I just got my little hole there for my return spring. That's the slot. That's where it bolts on. You get the picture. So there's my little bracket and just my return spring, and that should sit nice and low underneath everything when I get this air cleaner on. So that's the next thing, is I want to get an air cleaner on this. I'm tired of doing that. I did not order blue. Blue element. I did not order blue. I'm not that way inclined. It'll have to do for now though. That was just supposed to be a standard white element. But let's not dwell on it, let's move on. Came with that, so I'm pretty happy about that. Gonna have to cut it off though, jeez, it's gonna be tall. Blue, fair dinkum. Well, clears everything. I'd have to cut both ends. Doesn't look that bad, does it? Doesn't look that good, that's for sure. I would have preferred white. Could be worse, it could hit on everything and then I'd be really annoyed. Kind of period correct for, you know, the rocker covers and that sort of thing. I don't know about blue being period correct. I'd never seen one back in the day, but I've got one more thing to do to it. Little victories, little victories. I might pack up this welding gear now and maybe start getting the booster and the master into it. At least we can fill the rest of the day with that side of thing. Oh, it's still got a clutch pedal from that 4-speed conversion, so I better do that as well. Actually, I'll tell you what we'll do, scratch that. I won't start on the brakes. We've had some pretty ordinary weather, so I might actually wheel it out while we've got sunshine and put some colour around that door and this engine bay. Because if I leave it till tomorrow, no doubt tomorrow will be pissing rain, so we might do that. Manoeuvre him outside. And I'm going to do the underside of the bonnet as well, just lightly, just so when you lift the bonnet it all looks fresh and clean. And then you look at the outside and go, what happened? No, you know, anyway, we'll get into it. So to mask that edge there, I don't want to just run tape down it, like straight down like that, because you're going to have a sharp edge. So I'm going to do the opposite of what you do if you're masking inside to paint the outside, and that's run a little soft edge like that. You just double over your masking tape like that. Done that once or twice. So you've just got a soft edge, and then normally you'd put it in there, and so your paint would come up and just the air gets under that edge and the soft edge is along there. I'm going to do it the other way, like that. All the way around. Then just tape inside. 2-inch tape. Where's that 2-inch tape? Just coming back off that edge. Like that. All the way across along the front. Paper. That easy. Let's get it done. So all masked up. I'm going to put some etch primer over my little patches of steel that are showing where I've rubbed through to the metal, and then just dust on some colour really light, just for adhesion, get coverage. Going to use acrylic clear on the door to match the outside, but under the bonnet and in the engine bay I'm actually going to use 2-pack, just so it's high gloss under here to match the high gloss inner guard that you can't see, and then we'll get into the, I don't know, blending patina into that terrible door. So the first coat of colour I'm going to put on this, it's not going to look right, it's going to actually be too blue. And if you remember, I don't have a colour code or anything for this, and I didn't get any mixed up. I just threw 2 or 3 colours I had, added some black, and got somewhere near to patina those 2 doors. But which means I've got very limited colour and no ability to replicate it. So this is one of the colours that was close. Put it down first, get everything covered. Then the top coat colour that I've got, you've really only got to cover it, and it's very similar. So my point being, this is going to look wrong, but in the end it'll look right. Stop talking, Michael. Okay, I will. First coat. Second coat, a little bit heavier, but don't go crazy. First one, light for adhesion. Second one, don't dump it on. It's not like a broken record with that, but it's a thing. Don't dump the first coat on, it'll peel. While that's tacking off, I'll start masking in my rust onto this door. We'll get some colour on it too. So this door, I'm going to mask in my patches of rust because I don't want colour there, and I'm just going to Scotch Brite the primered section, because if you remember, that's got acrylic clear over it, so it's not going to take much. You don't have to sand it up crazy. This is probably going to be harder than I think to make this look right. I want my rust to come back through, but I don't want hard edges. I've never worked so hard to make something look so bad. I know this will be doing somebody's head in somewhere, but Ratty Survivor, driving Ratty Survivor, that's the MO of this thing when it's on the road. It'll get restored in due time, and this door probably won't get used, so don't lose too much sleep, alright? That. And the same way I double back mask to create a fine edge, not a straight edge, on the edge of that guard. I'm just going to let the air, compressed air, blow that up and just put a little bit of paint up there. So this is now our matched colour. Like I said, it's going to be a darker blue than that. It's just a cover, and it will cover really quick, so I won't need a lot, and that's the whole point. I don't have much to give. Somehow now I just want to blend this together. I'll just let that tack off and we'll start to sand him. Just sanding on these edges and these edges, just to blend them back in, so it doesn't look, so it looks like there's a transition. It doesn't look like I've just masked it and painted it. Not even talking. Too exciting. I'm actually starting to rush because some of those clouds are starting to look a bit grey. I'm not a weatherman at all. I suck at this. The sun was out and the birds were singing, so I'm like, I'm painting. And then there's that dark shit rolling in. What I've done that in is a really fast drying 2-pack called Euro Flash. I've used it on heaps of patina cars. That's touch dry now. I'm touching where the... I'll show you. I can't help myself. I always unmask way too early, but that's touch dry. You'd still leave a fingerprint, but it's pretty good. Actually looks really good. Probably too good for this car. Why don't you just paint the whole car? I don't want to. I reckon this chamois can probably go after this job. Anyway, its work here is done. I think if I just put a bit more of the top coat colour here, maybe rat up those edges, I might leave it at that. I think if I put a bit more good colour there, because that's quite good. Yeah, that's right, I just called that good. Anyway, just put a bit more colour there and then I'll just cover him up and clear him. Just a real thin acrylic clear. And there you have it, your blue door that you all asked for. And now just thin coat of acrylic clear just to brighten up where you've sanded again. So it's 2-pack in the engine bay for the high gloss and acrylic clear on the side to match what we put over, you know, all the other garbage. More pressure. And yes, I just remembered I forgot my mask, but I'll tell you how you tell if you need a mask with the material you're spraying is generally if you start spraying and you haven't seized out in some sort of anaphylactic reaction in the first 5 minutes, you're good. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's more like 15 to 20 minutes. I'm joking. Wear a mask. Where is it? Over here. I was just in a hurry and forgot. Now I can't get it on. Mint. That was mint, but it was muffled because I had a mask on. This is the fun bit. Probably could have done with a little bit darker metallic there as well, but anyway, blue. I could probably still flick a little bit more darker metallic in there, but it'll be right. So is that the way you should paint your engine bay? I don't know, you tell me. I'm pretty simple, but I don't mind it. And that door, it's okay, it's got blue on it, that's all I'm going to say about it. Before I go pushing it in, while I've got plenty of room to get the door open and get in here, I might get that clutch pedal out. Try to ignore all the wiring I haven't touched yet, but I might knock that clutch pedal out. Actually, the seats can come out too, because shifter's got to go in it, then carpet. Yeah, I can take the seats. That'll give me more room for the clutch pedal. Let's do that. I think I want to hurry. I think it's going to rain. Touch wood. I did myself a favour. I only put one bolt in the seat when I put these back in. I just had a moment of clarity. When the shifter goes in, I'm putting carpet in this thing. In this. You know how far away that felt when I first got it? Like decades away. Yeah, we're going to get rain. Here we go. Hurry up, raining. Oh, I made that. I can already feel my soul dying just a little tiny bit looking at this wiring that I'm going to have to deal with, but anyway, one step at a time, pedal box first. So clutch pedal is out, but there's a bit of shit going on under here. Take a look at this. I guess back in the day when they were worth nothing, you used what you had. I don't think that's the factory bracket, and that is a wheel nut. That back edge is beveled, If that isn't a wheel nut, I'll walk to Burke backwards. And on the other side, and I don't know if you can see that nut up there, but that's castellated. I don't remember them putting castellated nuts and no split pins in pedal boxes. So I would say back in the day when this was worth probably next to nothing, they were just using whatever they could find. Is that a factory bracket? I don't know, but that's definitely not a factory set of nuts on either end of those bolts. But anyway, I've put a spacer in there the same width as the pedal and left it. And I'll keep that, and you never know. You never know. I'd probably prefer full speed in it, but right now we're going back to the plate, and that's turbo 400 308. Probably one thing I think would be good to finish the day on, while I'm under the dash with no space, is put my booster in. My brand new rebuilt booster. Cost me about half the national debt, however, worth it. I'll actually have to find that pin though, won't I? The brake pedal pin. You watch me drop this and scratch every bit of my shiny paintwork. Okay, so everything gets in the way of that, just saying, everything. I'll see if I can line that pedal up. That actually looks really good. Just saying. I know I've said it a million times, but tag and bag for the win again. There's my pin that I was after right there. I know I bang on about it, but can't stress it enough. You won't remember where they go if they're just in a pile. Tag it, bag it. The one thing you learn, make it that. Oh, and that you need to paint with a mask on. Oh, nothing makes you feel more alive than having this crap falling in your face. I was trying to put in a cotter pin that's way too small in a hole that you can barely see in a place that you can't reach. And with my booster in, I can also put my master on. I'm not going to bench bleed this or anything just yet. I'm not going to put fluid in anything. I'll just get it all bolted up. Well, I'll just get this bolted up and then bleed it in the car when I start going through the brakes. That's the one thing I don't have yet, is the calipers. Still coming. Now I feel like we're getting somewhere. Starting to come together. Starting to look good. I can't wait to put that bonnet on tomorrow so all of my shiny paint comes together as one. Overall, wasn't a bad day. I know we didn't finish the exhaust, but that's only a matter of getting some clamps tomorrow. I'm not certain there's anywhere in town to get weld on flanges, but I can order them if I can't get them tomorrow, and we'll get that sorted. Engine bay painted, bonnet on. If we can get the exhaust done, that's a bit of a milestone, and then start moving into drive shaft, set the shifter up. Like I said, I'm pumped about, if carpet goes in this, it's like a mental victory for me. We're to the point where, yeah, it's going back together. But today, probably end it with an odd one. It's a couple of thank yous. I've got a thank you to a Dave Stewart. Thank you, Dave. He actually sent me some wheel centers. And they're patina, they're perfect. But I'll get them in maybe tomorrow or whenever. And the second one's a bit of a good story. Every once in a while you get companies offering you parts, and I've been somewhat reluctant to accept too much in regards to that, because I'm not real good at that crap, and I feel like I'm letting people down when I don't get it done fast. But this one, when I was reading through the email, it's a lot more than just offering a product. I got an email from Alpha Motorsport Fiberglass, and thank you Michelle and Fraser. Fraser's a viewer, and Michelle said she's got a pretty keen attachment to HJ Monaros. Her father actually had one, and she sent some photos through, and this Monaro ended up in, if you're my vintage, you'll know exactly the show, the 90s sitcom Acropolis Now, and the photo proves the story. So that was more than just a, hey, here's a front spoiler for a HJ Monaro that our company manufactures. It actually seemed like it was more of a personal thing with the family history, Dad's car, and just a good story because it was in Acropolis Now. But anyway, having said that, I'm not actually going to fit that spoiler this episode. So why'd you bring it up now? Well, when I was doing that blue door, I was thinking keep some color. I don't have a paint coat, okay? I matched it. I don't have a paint coat. I can't mix up more. So I was just thinking, yeah, you better keep some for that spoiler. It was in the back of my head, hence why I'll tell you the story. But I've seen them both, body color and black. So do I paint it body color blue to match the rear? But that lower section is actually below the black line. And the other reason I said, yeah, that'd be cool, it's got the holes. This car has actually obviously had one on it, because as bad as that stone tray is, it's got holes in it for the fiberglass spoiler to get screwed on. Either that or it had something else on the front of it, but they're roughly in the right spot. Anyway, you get the point. So thanks Fraser and Michelle for that. Thanks Dave for the center caps. I'll see you in the morning. We'll get some more done. Get some cool shit done. Little bit of a slow start this morning because I had to go and get these flanges, but we're getting there now. I've got that front flange welded on from the inside like that, and just the muffler box and everything sat on a stand. So now I can center that, tack him in place, and then I'll just weld him up. And yeah, that flange is a little bit wider because I had to get one that matched the diameter of the header. So I'm just going to tack him in a couple of spots and then just go around and tap him out with a hammer and weld him that way. That was the worst centering ever. It is 100% to that side. God, that is the worst. Have you got it with your eyes closed? Partially closed, yes. Committed now. Muffler straight. I made up for it with amazing welding. Sure. Yeah, it's pretty hot. I was gonna have a go. Stupid. This one's alright, but that side will be stinking hot. That's hot. I'll show you there, but I've just bell ended that pipe out a little bit. You see that edge there? I've just hammered it out toward that flange. Yeah, bell ended it. That's what you've done, Michael. I'll tell you who's the bell end. Who's the bell end now? Put the earth on it. I'm having a good welding day. You know you have those ones where you just can't get anything right? That looks alright. Let's see if it moved. Exhaust is now done. I may as well throw in that drive shaft, make sure it clears, although there looks like there's heaps of room. Shocks can go in. What else? I'm sure there's plenty. One thing at a time. There is plenty. There's plenty going on, but anyway, we'll get that done. Get them off. They're a bit crap. They're very crap, actually. Well, that one's... Who painted that? Get them off. That is one seriously heavy duty looking tail shaft. And U-bolts. Right, so before I get too excited, I'll make sure the U-bolts fit. Found that one out the hard way. Not even close. Too big. They're the right distance apart. The holes in that are smaller. There's always something, isn't there? Always something. You are dead set killing me. Yeah, so that didn't go well. They're not the right U-bolts. I could drill those holes out, but they're still not long enough. So that tail shaft, as good as it looks, it's not going in. Not yet anyway. I'll get them on order. I'll get some other ones on order. Get the measurements off them and go again. What else? Might put it down, put the hinges on and bonnet on. Feeling a bit deflated about that actually. Bing. A little bit deflated about that. I think I might drop it down and put my bonnet on, cheer myself up. Sook. Oh, I'm dead set struggling. I've gone from yay to absolute to the bottom. I just sort of chucked these shocks in. I just remembered these were not done up. Everything was tagged and bagged. That's what they were for. That's the shock bolt. Stripped. Completely stripped, and that's why it wasn't done up. So, add another thing to the list. So I need new U-bolts and new shock mount bolts. I'm doing my bonnet, fair dinkum. Hinges on these aren't standard in black, but I just wanted them to, you know, match the rest, so I tarted them up a little bit. Before I chuck this bonnet on, because I'm probably going to need help with it, I might throw these senders in. I've got specific senders for the GTS dash, because your normal dash is just a red light, but these guys have got obviously a full needle gauge, and so the oil pressure sender and your temp sender actually need to be specific for the GTS dash, whereas this manifold was not off a Monaro, so that'll just be idiot light. And that oil sender, which is down there, is just one that I had for the gauge when we ran the motor on the stand. So I'll get them out before I start going throwing the bonnet on. And you're not going to believe it, just for once today I might actually have the right part. So this is actually going to work, and whatever water I've lost there, I'll top it up with coolant. We should have, what is that height there, about a third, 33% exactly, precisely about that. So senders in down there, and I'll just check the Bible to see which is which, but I'm nearly certain brown is the oil line and green is the temp. We'll just see, and I guess that makes the blue go to the alternator there somewhere, but we'll check. So this one's not exactly the right manual, it's HX and HZ, but on something as simple as that, I can't imagine it would be too much different. 53 oil pressure switch. Now I'll just sit here for an hour and see if I can find 53. So there's 53 there, and it says T, so you go up here, Color code T, dark blue. Geez, I was wrong, I said brown. Anyway, what's brown? Would be N. I'll find out what that goes to later. So dark blue. And there's my dark blue. I assume that's what they're calling dark blue. I'll see what we've got for these two. So the other one will be temp gauge and probably alternator. So alternator and regulator is 3. 3 is there. And we've got an N coming into the alternator. N, well there's our brown. Now we've just got to find our green. There's our 39 is our temp gauge. 39 M. M, dark green. So there we go. So green's our temp. Blue was our oil. And brown was our alt. I just thought I'd second guess myself and make sure. I just went into HJ Kingswood and they're all the same. It's exactly the same colours, so we can't be too far wrong. I'd have to think that'd be pretty standard across all models, really. Anyway, that's what I've got. I've labelled them because I will mess it up, but I'm going to put new connections on all of them, so I just sort of label them, and they're pretty crusty. I unwrapped that one and actually cracked it, so we'll see how good they are. That one's the same. The outer insulation's a little bit hard, probably from temperature of the engine bay, but I just folded those wires. They're still nice and soft, so it'll be fine. I'm just going to reuse those wires and put new connectors on them. I think sometimes we overthink that a little bit with rewiring whole cars and that sort of thing. As I said, the insulation's a little bit hard. You strip it off and the wire's still soft and flexible. Doesn't need a complete rewire. It'll be fine. Don't overthink it. If I could see what I was doing, I'd be dangerous. And now it's decided to rain again, so in we come. Bloody hell, I can't win. Mate, it's been crazy weather. Nothing on the forecast. Just starts pissing on me for no reason. There's blue sky out there. And just like that, it's done. Finished. Thank you. Oh, no, it's coming back. If this keeps up, next episode will be a boat. So I've got those wires hooked up, but there's still plenty of wiring to do. That's all that is I need cabin 12 volt power from the ignition to power my fans. But wiring, I think it's the sort of thing that, well, I do anyway. I've got to get up, plan the day to do nothing but wiring, and then just immerse yourself in the diagrams, get your gear laid out. I like to get it outside, get the doors open, but that is not today. Give yourself some space out in the open, and today is wet, still going. So I'm going to this shifter. You have no idea how excited I am if we can get this shifting gears today. No idea. So I just pulled one of these clips off, and they're just like a little speed clip, so you don't have to get underneath and hold a nut. And I found some little bolts. They actually look like little sump bolts, but anyway, the thread's right. So let's jam this shifter in. I am going to put a tiny bit of brush on seam sealer around that, just so the underside of my shifter seals. I don't have water splashing up under it. Now I'm not going to put anything fancy on this. This is just a little bead of just your regular old silicone. Just to stop any moisture coming up from underneath. Probably can't hear me. Anyway, now I'm done. I'll talk to you so you can hear me. But just so rainy day, driving along, you don't have water trying to get flicked around up in there and getting under your carpet. Then our mint floor starts to rust. ugly, but it's working. So far so good, but the one element that could still drive misery and despair into me today is I read somewhere that the Turbo 400 shifter, factory shifter, was different than the regular old Trimatic. Well, so far so good, but I can tell you that is not a factory 400 shifter. The misery and disappointment could come underneath the car, I'd say. I'm very excited. Righto, let's get under it and see where the misery lurks. So why I'm saying there could be a bit of misery and despair under here is that's all I have under here. I don't have the arm that comes off the shifter, off the selector shaft. And so I've either got to make something or buy something. And the only other part I've got is that rod there. See, it's got a little adjustable section at one end. And that's it. Now that's not a real big issue because there's our shifter right there. So far so good with the shifter. And I can see how it's going to be tight, but it'll work. I just got to figure out what I'm going to make for this end. Or what I can buy for this end. What does the factory one look like to be a good start? So I got that shaft in there. That wasn't that big a deal. So I just got to figure out whether it's got to be above it, shifting up there, or below it, shifting down there. If it is below it, I've got to orient that rod differently. But I'll go and have a look at Mucus's Turbo 400 and see if see which way the cable runs, and I might be able to work out which way that shifts. You know, for park, reverse, all the rest of it, where does it start? If it's up there, does it start forward or does it start back, or have you got to have it under here? Anyway. Mucus is temporarily having a little bleed by the look of that. But that Turbo 400 back. Let's see if I can get under there. Oh, Mucus, you're leaking everywhere. Okay, so backwards if the lever's underneath, forwards if the lever's on top. That's easy enough. He's still in one piece, but he's going to have to come back soon, I think. He's starting to show his I was going to say signs of age. Get a go at it. So here's a bit of a rare one for me. I think I'm going to slow down for a minute and see if the factory parts are available. And the reason being, if I make that rod from the transmission to my shifter linkage too long or too short, it's going to change the ratio of the shifter movement to that linkage. If it was any other car, and you know I'd butcher up something. Factory parts are probably available. At least let me have a look for them, because if it shifts not far enough into a gear or too far through a gear, that's a brand new Turbo 400. For the sake of an afternoon researching parts, I think I'll just press pause there. So bonnet on, yep, I got some help on that one. I didn't want to scratch my amazing paintwork. It's looking pretty good, you know, for junk. I don't think I'll go making too many plans for the morning. I might just see what I can get here. I mean, the calipers might even be here tomorrow. Then we can start brakes while I wait for... I'd order shock bolts. Can't even think. Those U-bolts, that destroyed my bloody soul today. Anyway, U-bolts, shock bolts. I saw heaps of other things like the converter dust cover I've got to get, sway bar brackets I've got to get, a T-bar button, a T-bar shifter indicator would be nice but not essential. I'll just see what I can get. Righto, I better go start researching what I need, and I'll see you in the morning. Okay, so we have brake calipers. Now these are actually rebuilt by a company called Best Brakes, as was the master cylinder. And I think what I'm going to do first is, at the expense of some cheap brake fluid, I'm actually going to bleed up that master and then start trying to fill these lines and just see where I've got fluid, what lines I need to take off, because I don't want to put the calipers on straight away and then have the calipers catching all the crap. So I'll just get some fluid going through them. You know, it might cost me a little bit in fluid, but flush them out, then we'll put our brand new calipers on. Does that make any sense at all? See, I'm not going to take them all off, because the two lines I have off, these guys, they came off the diff. Well, I've got new rubber lines somewhere here, and these lines weren't corroded, so I'm not going to remove everything. For the sake of 14 bucks of fluid, I'm literally going to bleed that up with new fluid and then start pushing it through and just see what comes out the end. If they come out pretty clean, we bang our calipers on and we've got brakes by the end of the day. That would be the perfect result. What will generally happen is every single line will be blocked and I'll be still swearing by this time tomorrow. So to bleed this master, generally what you do is you get your little fitting like that and you loop it back into your master and then have your pipe underneath the fluid level. But unfortunately they're different threads and I don't have, or even if they're the same, I still don't have a, no, that's smaller, that front one. I don't have one to go in there, so what I'm going to do is just hold my finger over that, and of course then you need somebody else on the brake pedal, but you can release the air past your finger and still bleed it that way. That does mean, however, I'm going to cover all this in case a bit of fluid goes everywhere, because that's my fresh, new, lovely engine bay. That's right, it's not something I usually succumb to, but I'm having shiny paint anxiety now. Cover all areas. I'll get something for the top of my $1 million master, no, booster, $1 million booster. Okay, so I've got the master bled, but I didn't film it because at one stage I heard a little girl squeal. Turns out it was me, as fluid wanted to shoot across that way towards my shiny paint. So anyway, it's bled now. I got the other half to get on the pedal and I've connected my my brake lines back up. We are running clean fluid out of there, and I know that's a bit of a hillbilly way of doing it. Just connect it up and see where it leaks, but it works and it's already clean, so these lines are fine. Even on this side we gave it a gentle squeal. I'm still squealing like a little 8-year-old girl. No, I gave it a gentle squeeze and I got fluid there. The rear is not leaking. I dragged him up onto the hoist and the back line is not leaking, but I'm not going to break it free at this point. I'm just going to take these wheels off and start plumbing the rubber line on, the bleed them, push a bit of fluid out again, flush it, and then I'll put the calipers on the front. Then we'll worry about fluid at the back. I'll just start disassembling the brake system until I can find fluid and then clean it out on the way back. I know that's probably a bit of a hillbilly way of doing it. Like I said, bleed the master, put the lines in, and then just see what comes out the end of the line. But like I said, I had a good feeling. They will look pretty clean. The ends of the lines look pretty clean. I'm replacing the rubbers, so the rubbers weren't ever going to be an issue. It would have took me, I don't know, a couple of hours to remove all the lines, clean them. We still could end up doing it down the back. I've got no fluid there. Moral to that story is I'm 15 minutes in and I'm doing up brake lines and I've got calipers. Am I happy with that? Hell yes I am. Am I going to start patting myself on the back early? Hell no, because you know what happens if you've been here before if I start patting myself on the back. Really, really pumped. You have no idea how pumped I am. Actually, I'll tell you how pumped I am. You know those little dogs that wag their tail like that and you go to pat them and they piss? If somebody patted me, I'd piss, for sure. Righto, so now that I'm gloating about how quickly my front brakes went together, let's torture ourselves for between 4 and 7 hours on the rear. So the reason I joke about it taking 4 to 7 hours on the rear is kind of not joking, because I found this. The disc on this right hand rear was covered in oil, and so obviously the axle seals failed. It's no use me undoing the brake line and having it leaking the whole time I'm doing axle seals, so I may as well do this first. We'll knock this axle out and see what exactly has happened. I'll get them both out and just compare one to the other. Hopefully that'll, hopefully I can get my nut out. Hopefully that will tell me exactly what's going on. Is it just a seal? Has the bearing failed first? We're here, may as well do them, they're not here. Actually, that's what I meant to tell you too. My shock bolts turned up. We can put the shocks in now. Not now. Soon enough. Well, that was a bad sign that that came out that easy, actually. Don't think that seal's any good anymore. There's actually nothing left of it. Might as well clean that up too. Well, the bearing hasn't failed. The race feels pretty good, but it's just that seal's not there anymore. I just heat him and expand that disc a little bit. This one's a bit tighter than the other one to come off, so if I heat him, hopefully it'll expand. I'll just pop him off. This will be hot. It's not going to come though. I'd say that one come off that easy because somebody's already had that out. It was all sort of loose and half, you know, disassembled. So this one might take me my 4 hours. Actually, I just found a way I can lever that. There's a hole there on the top. I can get down under that. Made no difference. Nothing like a stuck disc or drum to dampen your enthusiasm. At least I know if anyone pats me right now, I'm not going to piss. Just run a wire wheel around that hub. Obviously the surface rust on that is going to expand the diameter of that axle hub. So maybe that's why it's not coming off. The studs look pretty good. I'm going to do them too. Then I'm going to marinate it for a little bit longer. Maybe I'm not. Come on. Come on. I feel all weird. I can't eat it with my left hand. It's coming though. I wasn't far off saying 4 to 7 hours. Victory. It took time, but there it is. So let's get this axle out. Now, you seasoned mechanical guys, you're probably like, duh. But not everyone starts at the same point. So you're removing an axle, right? See those holes? There's your bolt there behind it. Well, that's how you get to it. Just like that. And then it takes you an hour to get your nut out of there. Easiest way is literally just put it back on 2 threads and take it back off. But I'm too stupid to do that. I'm just going to tap this socket until it falls out and disappears under, I don't know, a toolbox or something. Speaking of which, there's another trick. Not a trick, it's just another way of getting the axle out if they're a bit stiff. Is flip your drum around, generally if it's a drum, right? You take it off, you flip it around that way, thread it back on, throw your wheel nuts onto the studs, and then use it like a slide hammer. But you've got to be careful you don't destroy your threads when you're sliding it. And the other thing is the drums are thinner than the disc. So if you're doing it enough, you can actually bend your drum. If I looked around, I might even have an old drum, an old wheel. You could do it with a wheel. A wheel you didn't care about, but you still got to watch you don't destroy your threads there, your wheel studs. I'll just pull that flange forward. I'll show you. That little flange there, I'm just going to pull him forward with a flat blade screwdriver, just so it's not grabbing on those threads, and then we should be able to yank that axle completely out. I might be a little bit spoilt in this respect. I have a bit of a slide hammer that I can try and use before I have to worry about flipping drums. Oh, there you go. That wasn't that hard. Nothing really to report there, other than it's in slightly better condition than the other side. A lot of play in it though. Look at this. I suppose there's probably not when that's seated in the bearing race and then that's pulled in against that. No, overreaction, forget I said it. Got to remember that when I put it all back together though. So I'm now going to have to sort of press pause and figure out how I'm going to set up my press. I've only got a little press. Somehow I've got to push the end of that axle and hold that collar. Going on will be easy enough, but coming off might be a bit of a task. I'll see if I can figure it out. So I've got a little bit of good news, is I think the kit comes with a new collar. That's that guy there. So if I have to run a grinder through the most part of that and hit it with the air chisel, I can do it, because getting that one off is probably going to be a lot harder than getting that one on, as long as that's the right size. That's the seal that goes there. That one is really worse for wear. At least I think that's what it is. We'll get it apart, but maybe for once I think I might even have the right bearing. Oh, hang on. Oop, quick, get back in there. Don't remove. I've measured the bearing around there, and sorry to remove that from the box before I was allowed to according to the instructions, but I think it's actually going to be alright. There's a little ridge just under that collar, and I'm hoping that goes up onto that ridge and fits a bit tighter, because that slides up easy there. I'll get the vernier and measure it. So right up behind that collar's 35.3. And it won't quite fit in there, so yep, we're good. That's, whew, might even be the right one for once. Don't touch that, whatever you do. But touch the bearing, you idiot. Oh, they're still hot too. Have a think about that, Mike. So I might be able to hit that bottom collar now with a grinder. On to the next one and then I'll get it all cleaned up. So flange faced that way. Oh, I suppose if I'm worried about that, I could just look at the other axle. I haven't got a part yet. Maybe I should put one back to get, I'll do that. I'm going to clean this one up and I'm going to put it back same as that one before I put it apart. Good thinking, Mike. That spacer. Let's go. Okay, change of plan. I'm going to do them both at once. Surely I can't mess that up. No, really, I've taken a video on my phone showing which way the flange goes, the spacers next, the seal goes that way up against the bearing, then you've got your collar. How hard could it be? The reason I want to do them both at once is I'm going to chuck both of the axles in the freezer. Cool them down, they contract, then you heat your collar and your bearing that I'm not allowed to take out of the box until I'm ready. Literally says do not remove bearing until ready for assembly. Sorry, geez. But then you can put your nice hot bearing on a cold shaft and it should almost slide into place. Then you can get your collar on, and if it needs a little, go from there. Grind this one off, get them in the freezer. Don't get that bearing out of the box yet. I'm sort of wondering if I can get a head start on the morning by getting these bearings on. So I'll freeze the axles, or chill the axles, and warm these bearings. Now I know I'm not allowed to unbox this, it says so there, but I'm just going to check that it's actually the right one. Tight fit, but I think they're the right ones. But I do have to pull that race out of that axle. Axle tube, think Michael, think. So I should be able to get these races out just by jamming a screwdriver in the bottom there and then twisting it. Shouldn't have said should be. I've got one that's genetically modified just for that job, and I should be able to twist all the way around. Come on, you're just about there. Race out. And then all I'll do is once I get the bearings on the axles, I'll heat this tube, not hot though, because your seal will melt, and we'll just see if we can't get that bearing to push in. I'll just measure that bearing again now, just to make sure I've got the same outside diameter of the race. I don't even know if I have to take the vernier to that. That's going to go in nice. Very snug, but it's definitely the right one. Don't get it stuck in there, Michael. So yeah, a little bit of heat on that when we go in. That'll be on the axle, straight in. Seal will be on this side, done. So I'm going to see how we go. I've got my collar, my spacer and my seal pressed on there. And I've got my bearing and my collar. I think I called that a collar, but that's like your backing plate, all right? So backing plate, spacer, seal, and these guys are in boiling water. Boiling water I prefer than hitting them with a flame. They will take on the heat a little bit better. I don't want to burn all that grease out of it, so we'll see if we can go on. Oh, that's hot. Very, very hot. Righto, so all you super safety freaks, get ready to freak out. Don't worry about the tyres. That is just somewhere for the axle to go without hitting the ground. Other than that, you'd have to have some sort of bench with a hole in it, right? So there's not going to be any pressure on this trying to move left or right. The pressure's between the jack moving down and here. So I've got it set up so it's just under the base of that collar, and I'm just going to push the axle down into the collar and bearing. Excellent. Righto, let's commence pushing. See the old saying? It ain't stupid if it works. As I say, the pressure's between here and here. It's nothing to do with what I've got it sitting on, so don't worry too much. Or do, whatever. about 4 millimeters away from greatness. So that's one wheel bearing on, but that's actually where the good news for tonight ends, because see where it says wheel bearing? I didn't realise, but that kit is one side, and I didn't get two. I bought, thinking that would be two bearings in there, I bought one. So I have to zip in the morning and get the other one, but anyway, it's beer time. That did slow me up, the back end of that, and that bearing, I ran out of travel a couple of times with my press, and so I had to keep spacing it up, so it took a bit longer than expected, and so I had to force it a bit harder than expected, and the bearing had cooled down. Doesn't matter, it's on there now. Hopefully the next one tomorrow will be a little bit more fluent. Of course it will be, I have all my spacing worked out. But anyway, not a bad day. Front brakes are done, ready to start bleeding. Axle bearing in the morning, clean up those discs, put all that back together, bleed some brakes. Oh, we had parts turn up, as I throw them everywhere. I have shock mount bolts. So shocks can go in tomorrow, tighten up the rear suspension, and we're almost done under there once our brakes are finished. And I was able to order the shifter bracket, the factory shifter bracket for the Turbo 400 to the standard shifter, and also that trunnion bolt for the, oh, what would you call it, the shifter shaft. So hopefully if that turns up tomorrow, we should have brakes done on the ground, shocks in it, and be working on the shifter and the drive shaft. Oh, U-bolts. U-bolts are still not here. No drive shaft. I'll have to play tomorrow as it comes. Alright, I'll see you in the morning. Look how good these calipers look. Now I'll see you in the morning, while I drool over my calipers. She's getting close. Oh, that's going a lot better. See, it's just pushing in nice and easy today. And I ran out of, probably be more fluent today because I've got my spacings all right. Okay, so here's how I'm going to know if I've got that bearing on far enough, right? I generally measure from the race groove first, but for argument's sake, because I'm standing here, so from the back of that plate, where it's the bolt up flange, I guess you'd say, to the back of the race edge. And I've got 34 mils. So now we measure from the edge of that race edge to the edge of the flange. .22, but don't forget your spacer. I'm finding that very difficult to measure. I know how I do it, like that. 9.9 mils and 22, so you may as well say it's 33, and what do I have? 34. I got 1 mil of crush on that seal. I'm pretty happy with that. So I feel like I've already spent half the day cleaning up and painting backing plates and cleaning those discs, but slowly does it. At the end of today, the goal is brakes, working brakes. And I'm just putting a little tiny bit of grease around the rubber seal, the oil seal here, just so when it initially slides in, we don't have an issue with it not, you know, binding up on the edge or something like that. Because that would suck. Righto, and as I said, the bearing there, you don't have to pack with grease because it's oiled from the diff oil. You know when everything's going swimmingly and then it's not. So here's what I'm up against. I put that axle in, or I tried to put that axle in, didn't feel right. Thought I'll jump over this side, See if I can slide this one in, and then maybe that one's just playing games with me. Nope. Here's what's happened. See that retainer there? This one? See the thickness of it? That's the old retainer that came off. See how it's got a step in it? Well, now that I've got oil all over me, well, if you take a look in this tube, that retainer is 3 millimeters larger in diameter than that one. So that retainer is now hitting on the inside of the axle tube, and so it won't go in any further. So in a nutshell, see that lip there? There's a little ledge of weld as well, but that opening is smaller than that retainer diameter. That guy's 48. I've got a 50 mil. That's a race installer, and it goes in with a little bit of clearance. Well, that retainer I think was 54. So I need about 2 millimeters of gap. I'm going to have to grind that fella there down back towards that bearing. How I'm going to do that, I haven't figured out yet. Short of removing that retainer, and it might have to happen, but I'd have to cut that retainer off, probably take the bearing with it, grind a new set down, and then reinstall it. I'm going to try and spin the axle somehow. Don't know how yet. And see if I can't just mill that down. In the meantime, I'm just going to die grind. I'll put a heap of grease in there, and I'm just going to die grind that very lip of that weld off, and then reach in and get the grease out and see what we can do with that. We will have brakes by this afternoon if it kills me. Change of plan. I've just jammed a rag up there so that any metal that does fly around, when I drag the rag out, I'll bring it with it. And I'll just grab these guys to get it, but I'll just get that little lip there, right there, and I'll just knock him off. Just the slightest tickle. Beautiful. How are we going to turn this axle down? Prepare to be amazed. Get a go at this shit show. So I've taped off the bearing race and the seal. I've got the vise holding on the bearing race. Now, even if I do happen to scratch that race, that side of the race goes to the axle tube, so it doesn't matter. I've zip tied a hone because it gives me something to connect the drill to. And then the drill is on a stand, and I'm going to put a zip tie around the trigger there very slowly, and it should roll in that V and turn in that. So if I go very slowly, now if that isn't the most hillbilly setup you've ever seen, I want to know what you've been watching, because you've been watching some funky shit. That is one of my best. Anyway, let's get it done. It doesn't matter if it doesn't even turn straight. I've only got to turn it enough to sit a grinder on there, and as it turns, we're just going to go down with the diameter of that collar, or it's going to turn to shit. But if it turns to shit, it'll turn to shit really slowly. I'll get my grinder ready. And my cutters, just in case I've got to cut that fella. don't have a lot of words to describe what you've just witnessed, other than that right there is what peak male performance looks like. So I actually used the old race to cover that bearing when I was milling it down. That's right, milling it down, not hacking it down, that's milling. And so I'm now just tightening the axle back in and just making sure I can't hear anything other than that, but just making sure I can't hear it touching on anything. Time consuming, but I guess that's aftermarket parts. What did we take away from that? Check your collar is the same diameter. Check your axle tube diameter and your collar of your bearing diameter. Would have been so much easier if I was doing it before I fitted it to the axle. I must have been pretty good with my spacing. Remember, I measured the spacer and the depth of that tube. Everything feels good, everything's turning well, which is astonishing, having just witnessed what you did. Cleaned those bearings out. Did I mention that? I blew those bearings out just in case, because there was grease in them, right? And if you're grinding near it, it would have went in under the tape a little bit. I blew them out with some carby cleaner, something tremendous. And just smeared a bit of grease back on them. But they're going to be oiled from fresh diff oil in about an hour, if I get to it. Look, they look amazing. On they go. I guess the next thing, now that I've got those calipers on, is get into the brake lines, but I haven't actually separated the old hard lines from the rubber, so I guess that's the next thing, is crack them. See if I can do it without destroying those fittings. Get those lines cleaned up and get them attached. Then I might have a quick clean up of all the bearing mess and my amazing press and get rid of all this, and then we'll get it up and get some fluid to these lines. This episode's all about fixing everything with fire. I've been pretty lucky with these, they've been really good. Why did you say that? Good to see you prepared with your spanner ready to go. I don't know why I said that. That's not even the right size. There you go. Did I say I've been lucky? That came undone without any trouble at all. Unlike those damn bearings. It'll be hot, you idiot. I still want to do it. It's really hot. It's one. And two, luck is on my side. Gonna be hot, dickhead. Yep, very hot. It's like I get that impatient that I just want to undone now. I don't want to do the little turns. Just get it, get it, get it, get it. Have a go. Doesn't matter if it's hot. Impatience. I was going to say don't mix up the lines, but I don't know which is which anyway, so how can I mix them up? Let's just fit them up. That all took way too long, but I'll get it up and I'll show you where we're up to. We've got one line to do. This guy. It's the one that goes from the diff back to the body. So calipers are on and the lines are run, and I've got them both to that center point there, and that's the line there that we've got to get fluid out of now. But all brand new. Don't worry too much about the unpainted. I'll get to that. That's what we're going to deal with now. So I'll get that guy there undone, and probably find out I've got no fluid and have to chase it all the way back up to there. But anyway, we'll see where we're up to. I'm going to go straight to vice grips because I think my good run is just about to end. My fortunate run. Oh no, we got it. The lines on this thing I know I've said it. They've been so good to me. All I need to actually say that we have brakes this afternoon is this line hot? Not quite. To leak fluid when I disassemble it from here. If it leaks fluid, we're just about there. Shifter seems to be my spanner of choice today. I don't know why that is. I think I'm too lazy to go looking for my what would that be? 7/16 or something? Come on. Come on, fluid. I won't lose hope just yet. I'll give the pedal a push a bit later. Give him a bit of a push on the pedal. Shouldn't need much, surely. We'll see. Yes, that is the first and only time I've been excited to have any form of fluid leak ever. Yep, brother, I get it. You've made your point. You can stop leaking now, please. Oh, don't tell me that's a different size. Where's the old one? Oh, you're taking the piss. It's not a hole. It's like a son of a... Okay, so here's my next hiccup, we'll say, is that's not round. It's got flat sides on it, and that one's round. So I've got the option, do I jam a drill bit through the hole, or do I just grind two sides off it? Whatever I do, I've got to maybe try and stop that leak now. There you go, stopped. And leak it again. I was going to try a die grinder, but I can't get it up there, so I don't have a drill bit exactly the right size. It's actually a 16mm hole, or it's got to be a 16mm hole. I've only got a 15, so I'm just going to go in with a 15 and a wiggle. Like I said, not the prettiest way to do it, but it's done. In a perfect world, I'd plumb everything up with no fluid and then run fluid through it, but I don't want to remove all the lines and flush them. It came out clean, it's done. I think over the years these lines have had a bit of manipulation, that they're not real straight and not real accurate into where they should go, but I can certainly manipulate that a little better at a later date. That was not too bad, I guess. Right, I might go and grab the other member of the team. We can start bleeding. So I've almost spoke too soon. I just found a little leak off the bottom of that fitting. I'm reluctant just to pull it down harder, but I'm going to. We'll just see if he keeps leaking. I'll start trying to bleed it, but well, no, that's definitely leaking. It's actually probably leaking worse now. Righto, we better get onto that then. Is it coming from that side? No, it's definitely coming from this side. I just undone that line and seen there wasn't a split in the line or anything. It looks fine. I can't find my damn spanner now, but it looks fine. So I'll just nip it back up and see if it stops, and if it does, great, and if it doesn't, I'm just going to have to pull that line back out and reflare the end. Where is the damn spanner? There. I just dropped it down, pushed the pedal a couple of times. I can hear it leaking, so nope. I'll just plug that new rubber line. Yeah, take that line off and I'll just remake it. Or like just reflare that end. It's going that quick I can't even think to talk. I know that seems like a bit of a setback, but I actually thought I'd be doing a line a lot earlier than this today. I thought I'd snap one of those ones trying to get them apart before, but it's been pretty good to me. That's what I said. Anyway, one line. Whole system, one line. Can't complain. Let's just get it. I'll get it down and have a good look. Doesn't look broken. Looks fine actually, but it's clearly not. So redoing brake lines, that still blows my mind a little bit. I probably should have went to Specsavers, but that looks fine to me. But something's causing it to leak. So I'm just going to get the grinder, just chamfer that edge, see? So we certainly are a machine shop today, aren't we? Nope. Righto, flaring tool. And I have my little brake lines and fitting box out from before. That's the little tool I'm using, right? You put it into that line there, like that. So you can just see it in that line and you do that up. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to replace that fitting. Good thinking, Mike. I might just check that thread. I might even replace the end. Yeah, I'm replacing that just in case something's wrong with that and it's not bottoming out or something. So that on. That in like that. Tightening down. Then your first one, you're flaring him with that end, so that'll tuck that little chamfer you've got, tucks it in like that. So if this doesn't leak, I'm going to throw that in the bin for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't want to go trying to use it again, and it looks like there's nothing wrong with it. Get on with it, Mike. There's obviously something wrong with it. And you put that guy in next. I always go in twice. Go in a little bit. Take it out and check it, because I've split hoses before when you go too hard. Oh, sorry to hit you. You're right. That's good for that. You want to drop that so it lands right on its nose and bends it. So then next time you go to do a hose, it leaks like a sieve. I've got to tell you, that's not my best one ever either. Anyway, let's go. Alright, that's back in with a new fitting. It doesn't look like it's leaking too much, but I'll give that a push on the pedal and see. I've connected him back up there. He's a bit shorter, so I've still got to bend it into this keeper and that, but we'll make sure it's not leaking first. I might have to remake the whole line. Why I say I might have to remake that whole line is I actually had 2 goes at that. The first one I didn't think was that great, and I thought I'll just widen it, and I split the line. I had another go at it. I'm wondering if that, if this doesn't seal, I actually might blame the new rubber hose. Maybe the surface inside that joint's damaged. Anyway, just see if I fixed it. Shut up. Well, I can't hear anything. There's no new fluid dripping on the floor just yet, but that doesn't mean shit. Well, there's no new fluid there. Alright, we'll bleed him up maybe in the morning, because my other half isn't here at the minute. Beer time. And in a funny way, I sort of feel like I should feel like a beaten favourite, but I don't. I know that brake line posed a bit of a problem. The bearing retainers are a bit of a drama, and I do apologise for you having to witness that redneckery that I cooked up to mill those bearing retainers down. But you know what? Yesterday that had no brakes. We now have brakes. I am going to slow down on the bleeding, get the other half in the driver's seat tomorrow, because I want to be basically under the back of it there and just keep a real close eye on that fitting. Yeah, anyway, I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know if it's my line or the rubber. It might be right now. I might be overthinking the shit out of it, which is not uncommon. But, oh, parts. Parts turned up. And I've been getting very excited about parts, haven't I? But it's nice when you actually order something and it turns up on time. Okay, so that factory turbo 400, well, it's probably a reproduction cutout, but it's turbo 400 to shifter linkage. No, turbo 400 to shifter shaft linkage. Trunnion, so that's the guy that goes through there. Although, my lord, that hole looks bigger. Come on, I can't have too many more setbacks, huh? I'll deal with that one in the morning. And U-bolts. But I'm not actually game to look. They measured right in the book when I bought them, but I'm not game to look if they actually fit, because I don't know if I can do any more setbacks today. I'll leave that misery for the morning, I think. But that means if we've got brakes and we bleed him up in the morning, we get the shift machine to work, drive shaft in. Is it driving tomorrow afternoon? I'll see you in the morning. Righto, so this morning, while I'm waiting for a spare foot to give me a hand bleeding brakes, we'll get him up, we'll get that drive shaft in, the shifter bracket, and the shocks, I think, is our jobs for this morning. I think I'm actually going to go back to front of what I just said, because I want to get rid of that hideous pinion angle. It's drooped right down. To do that, put the shocks in, that'll bring that up, then I can put drive shaft in. Then to get my shifter bracket right, I'll be able to roll the tail shaft and figure out what gear we're in. So yeah, shocks first. Don't suppose it matters what order we do it in, I just do something. Shocks first. Probably common knowledge, but I do like to wipe a smear of grease on new rubbers, just so when they you do them up, they don't bind up and sort of grip the rubber or something. It won't actually make as much difference as I thought. I'll tell you what, when it comes to grease, I have a superpower. The superpower is I'm able to get grease in places you didn't even know you could put grease. Somehow I've got it behind my ear. There's a little bit on your head there where I've switched you on. It's everywhere. I just wanted a smear on the rubbers, not a smear on the existence of Mother Earth. It's everywhere. It's still getting more. Where is it coming from? Drive shaft. You have no idea how long I've waited for this drive shaft to go in. After the emotional misery of the last set of U-bolts, I better check if they fit, and beautiful, got them, let's do it. Better go in further than that. You're taking the piss, aren't you? Oh, that should go in a mile further than that. Well, it's not going to. You are taking the piss. You're taking the piss. It's got a mile to go. It's too long. Look. Look. It's got a mile of slip yoke to go in. So I checked my measurements and it's correct. It's exactly what I said it was 1490. In actual fact, it's 1485 drooping like that. But see, that's at its shortest point. Because of the arc of those control arms, as it comes down, I'll actually get closer. And as it pushes back up with the suspension, it'll slide out further. So technically that distance there to there is getting longer. But here's what's happening. The spline doesn't start, very technical measurement, that far inside that tube. Well, the end of the tube is hitting in the transmission somewhere. So I'm wondering if I can just take it off. That's sort of all I can do. Cut up a brand new tail shaft. You beauty. She's thrown some hurdles at us this episode, hasn't it? I'm really apprehensive about cutting the end off this $1,000 drive shaft. I guess all I've got to do now is rig up something to spin this drive shaft. No, I'm not going to put you through that again. I've got a pretty distinct line there. I can just follow it around with the grinder and then just bevel that edge back off. Here's the plan. Mate, shit's just screaming loud in my head. I don't want to do that, but I have no choice. I'm going to put it back in, check how much distance I can keep going forward, because I'm only 5 mils from mating that up, or more, probably 10 mils. And if that's the shortest it's ever going to get when you're hitting potholes and things, or jump and stuff, no, then I don't really need to take that much off. I prefer to take a decent amount, because what if I did bottom it out one day and smash that tail shaft into that transmission? I'll see. In it goes. Stop rambling. So that's dead set bottomed out, and I'm that much too short. Half a cup length. But I've got 60 plus mils I can go forward. This is what I mean. I've got more. Probably 70 mils, no, maybe not. Say 60 mils further, I could slip into that yoke before it should bottom out. So I'm going to take that whole black section off. So there's where it went into there. Get a tape, Michael. Oh, I wasn't anywhere near it. 45 mils. So it's got 100 mil of spline right up to there. See that? The spline doesn't start until in there. So really this bit at the end is I don't even know what's there. Well, I'm going to have to take a good chunk off it. I reckon I'll take 20 mils off it. Or should I take the lot? There's precisely 45 mils of no spline. So back to there. So I could take 25 mils off that. Still have 20 mils of no spline, then full engagement. I'm trying to think what the consequences of taking too much or not enough. I know not enough is it smashes into the back of whatever it's hitting on in the back of that gearbox and does damage, so that we want to take some off it, that's for sure. Do I take 20 mil off it, see if I can engage it right in and have good clearance to the... I'm going to stick something in the back of that transmission and see what it's hitting on, how far in it's hitting. Well, I can tell you how far in it's going. It's going that far in. To that mark there. Really, it's got 85 mils in the box, but it's only engaged, what did I say, 45. So it's only got 40 mils of engagement on that shaft. So whatever I take off there, it's just going to engage more thread. There's no downside. I can't see a downside. And I literally don't think I could take too much off it. Time to cut. $1,000 brand new tail shaft under the knife. You have no idea how much this is hurting my tiny little man brain. Just trying to make that nice and smooth, so it just pushes into that spline nice, like the edge of that. That's hot, like really hot. Idiot. Just trying to show you it wasn't sharp. It's just nice and smooth. That was a bit petite, wasn't it? Weirdo. I reckon a bit of brake clean. Just make sure it washed down in there and we're done. See, I've smoothed that off as best I could all the way around and took the burr off the inside edge so it slides into that back seal without ripping it. And I've still got 20mm before the spline, and now it'll just engage. What did I say? I had 40mm of spline engagement. I'm just going to have 60mm of engagement. I think I took 25mm off there, so I should have plenty of clearance. I'll wash him down, slip him in and hope for the best. Well, I'm not getting any filth out, so it's clean enough. As I said, just hit it with carby cleaner. I'm going to actually put a little bit of grease around that seal as I go back in, just so it doesn't grab that, but that's good. I don't actually know why I'm apprehensive. The fact of it is, it bottomed out in the transmission. I only needed 10mm further in to get that in. I took 25 off, but I haven't reduced the spline length. It was just like it was the, you know, excess. Foreskin, if you will. I've removed the foreskin. I've circumcised my drive shaft. I had a moment then, it wasn't going in. It did, it went in. Now it's just going to come back. Oh, I didn't grab the U-bolts. Can you grab those U-bolts while I hold this? Did you grab those U-bolts for me? Stay there, I'll get them. You stay there too. I'll make sure it'll stay there. Oh, I can't, it's in park. It'll stay there. It's all going swimmingly so far. So far. Cars, huh? Wouldn't be this much fun if you didn't have a few dramas. Looks pretty good to me. Let's get some nuts on it and rip it down. I can sort of see this pinion seal here is going to come back to haunt me. Maybe not, but there's a bit of a dent there, like some sort of trauma. But for now, I've just got to stop somewhere. If I sort of do that while I'm here, then what else do I do while I'm here? Bushes, ball joints, tie rods. I think I'd prefer just to get it to run and drive, and then let it tell me what it needs. What's no good. If the ball joint's knocked out of it, they look all right. But a bit of heat and movement once we get it driving. I think that's where a lot of projects crash and burn. Trying to do everything at once, start to finish, and they just never get completed. It's only my opinion anyway, but are you picking up what I'm putting down? Are you licking what I'm dribbling? Whatever. This is now the most complete this GTS has been in a long time. We are a shifter away from being able to move forward and backwards, and bleeding brakes away from stopping. I just got to get that little fella up there onto that rod, so that when I shift, that moves forward and back, and pulls us into gear. So hang on. Yeah, that'd be right, wouldn't it? As the shifter pulls back, it'll be pushing forward on gears, so I'm going to have it right back there. So that trunnion, they call it, like that's going to slip over that, and that bolt there will tighten down onto it so it doesn't move up and down there. And I did make a little bush. Well, I didn't make one. I found a little bit of plastic and made it as a bit of a bush. So hopefully that will now slide freely on that. That will go up there on that. And they can all live happily ever after. This might actually work. So I don't know how close that resembles factory, but see, I've still got that loose. When I make sure it's in park, then I'm going to tighten that up, and that'll set where that is, so that when I shift my shifter forward, it will come this way, and we'll get gears. And down. And up. And down. And up. And down. And up. That seemed very straightforward, but no, it wasn't. That was another solid hour of looking for leaks again. It seems like everywhere one of those very expensive and highly machined and accurate toleranced new rubber lines is, and an old line mates it, it was leaking. So I've replaced just about every fitting I can in the back. The front seems fine. The pedal's still a little spongy, so I'm just gonna, we've got brakes, but the pedal feels a little spongy, so I'm going to let them settle in, maybe take it for a drive. What do we got left to drive it? Shafts in, shifters in, brakes are done, sort of. A driver's seat, some wiring to bring my thermos on, transmission fluid. Let's keep going. So the transmission lines, just so we could start the car in a previous episode, I looped them just like that so we didn't have a dry transmission or a empty converter bouncing around when we started the motor. But we're going to run them up to this aftermarket radiator, to these cooler lines that are not even done up. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's excellent. Lucky I found that. The factory lines would have been metal hard lines and ran past the steering box there. I'm just going to use some rubber until I get the factory metal lines. Nope, permanent. I'm going to insulate it and then just route it as far away from those headers as I can. Put one in at a time, fix it off, and then attach the second one to the first one. I know this is electrical insulation, but just another layer of, I don't know, vibration protection if it happens to tap or rub on something. So it'll do. All jokes aside, I probably will look at those metal lines, then figure out they're really expensive and just stick with my rubber. So not the most factory job, but insulated as it goes past that fuel pump. It's tied off to that engine mount there, and takes a sharp righty from this angle away from that header, along that line and into the trans. Absolutely perfect-ish, kinda. So they're done, but I can tell you, I'm going to shortcut you on this episode. I said I was going to put carpet in it, and I don't know, can't even think I'm that excited. There was heaps of other stuff I said I was going to do. I'm not. I'm that close to driving this thing. I'm going to start it, top off that tranny, look for leaks, make sure my fans are coming on. Mate, if I can pull this thing into gear and it reverses out of the shed under its own power, this is a huge mental victory for me. So stop talking and do it. Okay, let's do that. You watch me spill this and cover my engine bay. So now it's got plenty of fluid, but you've got to check that hot running in neutral for the correct level. So let's fire it up, warm it up, make sure my fans are going to come on, check for leaks, and clearly I'm avoiding doing it because I'm shitting myself, but let's just try and drive this thing. I actually don't know why I'm so anxious about it. Imagine if I was breaking in a cam at this point. Thank you, engine stand, wherever you are. Thank you, engine stand. Power. Actually, I better put that fan wire in there. That's just my 12 volt relay wire. Do them up, we've got power. Clearly my favourite tool this episode has been a shifter. Don't know why, just has. Lazy, didn't want to find the correct spanner. In actual fact, I know why it is. Those terminals are different. I didn't want to go back twice for two different spanners. So that's on. Shifting hammer. So we should have power. How do I check that? I'll check it by pulling my earth. And if I ground that, those fans should come on. Got it? So when I fire it, I'm building suspense, aren't I? No, I'm just explaining. I'm actually going to have it idled up fairly well, and I know the cam's broken in. We did that on that amazing engine stand, but the worst thing you can do for a brand new cam, even if it's broken in, is have it idling really slow, so it's not getting that oil flick off the crank, oiling the lobe. So I'm actually going to have it idled up a bit. Once it's warmed up, I'll drop it down. We'll have a listen to that amazing exhaust. Better be amazing, because geez, I've built some suspense, haven't I? I just remembered I don't have a choke cable yet, and this is bound to need choke. I'll put that back on. Bring that idle up a little bit. I let him warm up. I pull it through the gears, get that fluid transfer through that cooler. Even through those small 2-inch mufflers, it still sounds pretty good. fluid. I'm just going to shut him down and top up the tranny fluid, because if it's shaking and I tip fluid everywhere, it will ruin the amazing emotions I'm having right now. It would bring negative vibes to my otherwise positive outlook. Harley. So on this episode of What's That Sound, we've had LS, 7.3 power stroke. We're now just going with the simple old 2-cylinder air compressor Harley. You're still going, bud. We'll go again. So far so good with leaks. I'm seeing everything keeping itself where it's supposed to be. Okay, so I'm now out of fluid. I've got other fluids, but I don't want to mix them. Brand new transmission. Old transmission, I probably wouldn't care, I'd just drive it, but brand new transmission. So it's on the dipstick, but what you should do is get it on the dipstick over full, pull it through the gears, put it back into neutral. Didn't just spill it, did I? No, it's just shiny. I'm looking at stuff that's shiny thinking it's covered in oil. Anyway, pull it through the gears. That fills your valve body and allows the pump time to fill everything. Put it in neutral, leave it running, dipstick in, checking it hot. But I'm out of fluid, so if this moves, we're just going to drive it. We're only going to use the driveway. This is far from roadworthy, so we're just going to use the driveway today, but it's still way up there in the clouds of a victory for me. Hasn't drove yet. Will be. Nothing can stop us now. Why did I say that? Why would I say that? Nothing can stop us now. There's plenty that could stop us now. I'll roll it through the gears. Gears and brakes. Let's do this shit. It's telling me it's not charging and there's absolutely nothing working. Wiring everywhere, so it doesn't really shock me. But you know what? It's driving. That's a bit of a worry. What? The rest of it isn't a bit of a worry? Yeah, I know. Only a very, very short drive, but I need those small victories. Well, as victories go, to me, that is not a small victory. That's huge. This thing's come a long way. It's taken me a little bit of time, but it has come a hell of a long way. And for it just to drive under its own power, keep all its fluids where they're supposed to be, and stop. The brakes are amazing. They'd want to be. They're brand new. I don't think I've ever had brand new brakes before. But anyway, they're great. It's even hard for me to think back to where it actually started from and just doing one thing at a time. You look at it as it came onto the trailer for that first time and it's everyone's saying it's a full resto. Is it? Next episode we're rust, wiring and interior, or just piecing the interior back together. Are we then looking for rego? Is it a full resto then if it's running, driving with rego plates? Yes, it probably still is, but no, not in my view. If I can drive it down the road, that's glorious victory is what that is. But then whoever owns it after that, or whatever happens to it from there, it can only get better. Anyhow, one thing I guess I did want to go through this time, because I think a lot of people have interest in it, when it's a collectible car like this, and the value, I guess, is high when it's a finished product. I sort of want to know what you've put into it. And if you've been on our members site, I already told you what I paid for it, but I can tell you exactly. I've got a list here. I can tell you exactly what's gone into it so far and how much it was. But press pause, go get yourself a beer and settle in. You're going to need it because it's added up quick and there's a lot to it. Righto, so you've come this far, I may as well read through the whole list. And as I said, I'll roll it through here so you could look at the prices of everything. But the motor, as you know, I bought it in pieces. You would have seen that episode, so I don't need to go through it too much. The rebuilt turbo 400, the converter, drive shaft, U-bolts ×2, did it twice. Head studs, Welsh plugs, lifters, flex plate, oil pump, headers, exhaust flanges and clamps. That kit wasn't quite as good as I expected. The cradle to break it in, I mean, I'm counting everything here. Dizzy coil leads, zinc for the break-in, assembly lube ×2, turbo 400 dipstick, trans mount shifter, selector plate and trunnion. You see in that episode we fitted that. The radiator and hoses, temp switch and oil sender, which both don't work, but it's no shock. As I said, there's wiring everywhere. Ring compressor gaskets, vernier for gapping rings. Geez, I did include everything here, didn't I? Rubbers, haven't fitted them yet, door rubbers. Springs and shocks, the new steering wheel, tyres, locks, carpet, decals and badges, service manual with wiring diagram. That's imperative, money well spent. Next page, I'm not done. So basic things: battery, air cleaner, shock bolts, and 5 litre decal, brake hoses, booster, rebuilt calipers, wheel nuts, they're important, we put new wheel nuts on it, master cylinder, a TH400 deep pan, headlight harness. That'll be next episode, but I've bought a whole harness that does the headlights and comes back to the connector in the firewall. 2K engine paint. Oh, the engine bay paint, that is. That's 2-pack engine bay black. Can't even talk. PCV and carburetor, sump gaskets because the rubber failed. Oh yeah, that's right. How could I forget that? Starter motor, rocket cover breather, water pump, motor paint, that's the red and the silicon, the carb adapter, vac fittings and vac hoses. That's as far as I've got, but even now I reckon there's things I've missed. There's still console, did I say shifter? I think I did, but there's still a console lid, selector, transmission selector indicator, things like that that are still yet to come. So there's more. What did that come to? I don't know, because I didn't write it down. Anyway, give me 1 second, I'll work it out. So at this point, that comes to $17,407, with more to come. I can think of a lot more, really, little things like washer bottles and stuff like that, but let's not dwell in the misery. All right, I drove it. And of course the big thing, I guess, next episode is I'll start ordering some rust repair panels now. I think the only one I really need, I won't bother with the guard one, I reckon I can get that one, but that bottom of that quarter, inside and out, and the dog leg and up the quarter panel, I'll just fix. I don't know if they make a panel for there, and if they do, do I even need it? Anyway, that'll all be next episode. I'm already thinking ahead. I'm sure you get the picture anyway. It's come a long way. There's more to come. I'll see you next time, and thanks for watching. Pinion knob. Oh god damn it, where is the other pin? Oh, there. I have no idea what I'm doing. Where's my shifter gone? Put everything out there, don't I? Oh, you dickhead. Oh, it just popped off. Friggin' hell. At least I got it on camera though. Yeah, it can come up. Got that on camera too. Bloopers, here I come. Then the bearing, can't mess that up, can I? Am I yelling? I sound like I'm yelling.